Welcome back to the channel. Quick update from the studio today. I'm a little bit further along than what I've probably shown in the past with the brewery rebuild, the Back to the Beginning series I started previously. I figured it was time to walk through what that looks like and show a little bit about that. It's not a finished system yet. It's not going to work. It's going to take some time to still get right, but I just wanted to share where I'm at. Just for context, as a few of you would know, I moved away, or am moving away from the all-in-one Brewzilla, and I'm moving towards a HERMS system. Got my massive stainless 4-inch monstrosity here. This obviously has the coil inside it, and that's not pressurized, and it's got the hole on the bottom. That 4-inch connection, I previously had just this 4-inch end cap here. That 4-inch end cap is changing to a 2-inch with a 4-inch about an inch above it. So just gives me a little bit of extra length in the element. So if I was to go there to there, you can see that's pretty much touching the cap. It's just slightly off by about 1 to 2 millimeters, but it's enough to cause me a bit of worry. So I'll just drill out a 2-inch end cap. I don't want the element running dry in any portion of it, so that will keep the water level all the way above. It's time to show the enclosure panel. So what we've got here, we've got an indicator light for the pump, indicator light for the element, and a indicator light for panel power. Switch here, 0, 1 and 2. 0 obviously off. 1 will be low power, so the ESP device and all of the sort of signal flow stuff. And 2 will be the high voltage. Also got a buzzer and just selector switches here. These selector switches are hardware interlocks. They'll basically stop the device from operating that's connected to it. So 1 for a pump, 1 for an element. This is just mash control at this stage. But you'll notice no PIDs. Also got the e-stop. You'll notice there's no PIDs here. On the bottom, we've got our BrewTrak PowerCon connectors. These are like sealed, water rated, and they're also click lock, so they don't pull out. These are a pretty good option. So they go in and they go in the hole and twist to lock, and you can't pull them out. So they also seal here in the connection. Now that is a work in progress. There's still a fair bit of work to do there, and there's obviously no controller in there, so there's no PIDs. Basically, in a traditional enclosure, a traditional box, what you've got is you've got the temperature controller. That's a PID. Basically tells the element when to turn on or off by firing a low voltage signal to the relay. The relay closes or opens based on that. Solid state relay can flick on and off very, very quickly to maintain temperature rather than just turn on, heat the element, turn off. It's not a physical relay that switches on and off that you don't want to wear out. Those ones, if you flick them too often, too quickly, they wear out, they bind in one of the states, and you're in need of replacement. So, but here's the thing. We've got nothing to control, right? PIDs, you got to be there, you got to touch it, you got to do it. There's no data logging, there's nothing like that. You'd have to have a separate temperature sensor to basically read that data and show you what's going on, log that over time. I'm a data guy, I'm a bit of a nerd in that way. I love brewing, I love the science behind it. So what I'm building is a software called BrewTrak. It's just going to be local for my own use, it's not on the internet, it's a local server. I've got a little Intel NUC over in the corner, and that's just basically a server at this point. It runs a UI, I can hook it up to the monitor, I can use it for other purposes as well. It just powers this server. So that software is not about running the brewery, it's not about full end-to-end automation, all these automated valves, that sort of thing. What it's about is collecting the data, setting the recipe, water, getting everything ready, structured in that one place, and having it all linked through all the way back through to inventory. So for me, brewing starts with ingredients and inventory, It ends with inventory as well, so you end up with a finished beer, a finished product. I want to track that end to end, and I want the most data I can. We'll get to future expansion plans and all of that thing later. For now, all I want is to be able to turn my element on and hold a temperature and turn it off. That's the first step. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. I'll overlay some screen recording of this in the video just to get a bit of an idea on what it looks like at the moment. It's obviously still, it does work. We go through, got an inventory page, we've got a recipes page, we've got mash profiles. There's a few errors popping up at the moment. Some of the things aren't connected. We've got a bit of a dashboard, brew sessions, batches, it'll track batch history. The foundations are there, the detail's not. So I'm currently working through what that detail looks like. I'm looking to get recipes in there just for visibility, so I don't have to flick between different apps. They don't necessarily have to work and calculate the outputs, it just has to be there so I can reference it on brew day. And the ability to change temperatures manually. So being able to type in a set point, hit enter, and it goes off and fires the relay until the temperature sensor sends back the signal that it's at that temperature. Very basic, very simple, and the ability to turn the pump on and off. What that gives me is the ability to control the panel and the devices in the panel from anywhere. My phone, a computer inside the house, computer inside the brewery. I can do that from a little touchscreen panel. If I wanted to get a little integrated ESP touchscreen, you just have a pump on-off button or element on-off button and a temperature set point if I was to go in that way. And that can all send the information back to this PC, this little NUC that's sitting here, and that will manage the change between the controller, the board that's in the control panel there. So fully integrated across the local network, can't access it outside the network. I don't want cloud. Something I might explore later if I did want to check some fermentation data, because this will eventually bring in fermentation data from things like the wrapped pill through their API, and that will let me just bring it all in, store the data in my own databases, and be able to monitor and track that over time. Also incorporating some things long-term around batch numbers and sort of that sort of thing, because that does have an influence on your outputs as well. So different batches of malt, different seasons have different fermentabilities, and that's quite important to getting consistency over long term. So if you go between suppliers, you can get a different batch. You might end up with the same batch. So if you've got the same batch number on that ingredient in the inventory, it can also tell you what you've brewed with in the past. Also helps if you do go commercial, you do need to keep track of those batch numbers for recalls and things like that. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and there is a bit of a food standards requirement to maintain that record. What this is also going to do is track volume into the keg and volume served as well. So in a small tap room, it's nice to know what's selling and at what rate, and that can correspond into your brew schedule. It can also, in this scenario, what I'm planning to do is for the recipes and inventory, they will work together. So rather than just removing it from the inventory, it's actually going to be a two-way conversation. I'm going to have the recipe section have filters that show you what you can brew based on the inventory you've got. So if I have Joe White Trad Ale and my recipe calls for Marisota and I have none, that will hide that recipe if I click the button to show brewable recipes with current inventory. But just at a quick glance, if I've got some time, 2 days time, what have I got on hand that I can brew? I can't get ingredients out here quickly. It'll be able to give me a bit of guidance on what I can brew. So basically that's where I'm at. What comes next? Probably wiring up the panel and seeing if it works or if it's a massive failure. Once it's wired up, I'll be able to plug in the device, the ESP device, into the appropriate signal flow on the low voltage. I'll do the low voltage side just because I know the pin headers and things like that on the ESP device, and be able to correspond that back to the software that will map that in the firmware. So we've got a firmware that flashes on the device in the control board, and then we've got the server that interacts with that control device. So that's scalable, means I can have a control device that's adopted into the system and claimed by this system. That means there's no confusion in the system side of it. The system will identify that device, talk to it, and if it's powered down and powered back on, it will reboot and reconnect automatically based on that unique relationship. And then once I get more devices set up, so fermentation control, I'm looking at setting up something for my fermentation control with my glycol chiller. That's going to be a complete separate build video. I'm not going to touch that in this, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. I've got a shitload of renovations to do. I've got some flooring sitting on the floor just down there out of view. And I'm reflooring the house and rebuilding my entry. I've got some bedrooms to fix up, and I've got all of the external works to do. So I've got a lot to do, a lot to get on with. And this, I want to get this done so I can start brewing 3-vessel again. All right, I'll pop in some bits and pieces of the BrewTrak, just a little view of what that looks like, a little bit of a teaser video. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.